is 38, moving into his coaching prime. Sam Darnold, 2 more years of a team-friendly deal, and they may have 7 or 8 players who are ascending. Young guys only getting better. And go ahead, say it wasn't about Sam Darnold. Go ahead and say that, but it was. In the postseason, against the superior NFC and eventually Vrabel's defense, no turnovers for Sam. Smart enough, mature enough, and coachable enough to know what was needed. And against New England, he knew what was needed. A couple of big throws, make the right decision. Since 1990, 4 quarterbacks have won a Super Bowl with no turnovers. Maybe you've heard of them. Troy Aikman, Steve Young, Drew Brees, and Sam Darnold. They all had great coaches, and they all had stacked rosters. They knew what the assignment was. That's all this playoff run was about for Sam Darnold. Against the Rams, he needed to be a game changer. Darnold had to make big throws because Matt Stafford, 3 different times, ate the Seahawks secondary. 8. And Darnold needed big throws. He was a game changer when the game called for it. But with Kenneth Walker running, finding space regularly, Sam only had to make a couple of big ones. Here's one of them on the screen. He had to be a manager. He had to be understanding of what was needed. I'll give you an example. Tom Brady's first Super Bowl win and Tom Brady's last Super Bowl win, I'm not sure if you know this, he threw for fewer yards than Darnold did last night. That's what makes Tom great. All quarterbacks, I'd like to repeat this slowly, all quarterbacks are game managers. But it's part of the maturity that Sam lacked when he was 20 and 21 and 22 in New York. He developed it. He's a good listener. Gratitude and humility. Great parenting probably adds a lot. 22-year-old Sam screws that game up last night because the New England Patriots were jumping routes. Mike Vrabel knew looking at the film. He had the second-best roster. And Mike Vrabel knew the way to beat Seattle was make it fast and frenetic and make the old Sam Darnold appear. He didn't. In fact, he didn't in the entire playoff run. I'll like to repeat, against the superior NFC in New England, Seattle, the Seahawks, are the first team ever to win a Super Bowl with no turnovers.
It's so funny because Colin kept going on about how it's okay to have turnovers. He kept saying, you need turnovers. Turnovers are important. And he went on a whole rant about how he's like, in the last 25 years, you know, like however many quarterbacks have won a Super Bowl with with having a turnover, with throwing an interception. And now he's like, no turnovers, no turnovers. And so it's just, it really is funny to me. But I mean, honestly, as someone who banged the Sam Darnold drum seemingly every other day, put him at the top of my mountain only to have people freak out and get mad at me. And, I went through that all season long, praising Sam, praising Sam, praising Sam. You, Sam Darnold, deserves massive, massive amount of credit. No question. No question. And his big superstar moment was the NFC Championship game. Not so much this Super Bowl. He made some beautiful throws, some beautiful plays. He managed the game. And like Colin said, all quarterbacks are game managers. Something that I've been screaming for years, literally saying, in order to be an elite quarterback, you need to be an elite game manager. And that is absolutely what Sam Darnold displayed here. But this win, this season as a whole, really was ultimately an organizational win. Just by even going out and getting Sam Darnold, it's one thing. If Sam Darnold was drafted and developed here, then I would say Sam Darnold would, weirdly enough, get more credit. But just the sheer fact that the Seahawks had the foresight to go out and get Sam Darnold is an organizational win, just in that singular moment. Going out and getting Cup Lawrence, well, my gosh, what's his name? Clint Kubiak, right? Hiring Mike McDonald. Like, these are all organizational decisions that were absolutely brilliant. Who they drafted, right? Drafting defense, top 5 overall, just slam dunk. Whatever analogy you want to use, slam dunk, home run, grand slam, hole in one, like just a Yahtzee, checkmate. It's just everything. And it was spectacular. And that's what we saw on full display here. Even having two running backs where one running back gets injured, and yet you still got the monster walker to get after it. Like, even something like that is massive, right? So it's just, they were taken care of. Jackson Smith and Jigba. Well, we got Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp, I'm pretty sure, was the leading receiver in this game. Yeah, for 61 yards. So yeah, even just little things like that mattered, because it's really easy not to get a Cooper Kupp. You realize that, right? Like, it's really easy just to be like, no, we're good where we're at, and we got this other young guy coming up. Like, you don't have to pay for a Cooper Kupp, because for the amount of production that you are going to get from him throughout the regular season, you're probably overpaying a little bit. You know, if we're not factoring in like leadership and experience and whatnot, we're just talking about pure production. But boy, are you happy to have him in the Super Bowl? Are you happy to have him in the Super Bowl? And yeah, this defense was obviously awesome. This defense was obviously dominant and amazing, and just beautiful to see. It was just punt, 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 punt. But you needed a couple of those throws and those catches, especially in that first half in the run game, because if you don't get those, the game is still in the balance. You're given better field position to the Patriots pot. Like, it's just more in the balance. Like, the score was only, what, 9-0 at half or something. Like, even then, the game is obviously still in balance, but it was just a play here, a throw there, a big time catch there that ultimately led to the field goals, and obviously the runs with Walker. Like, that's what ultimately led to the win. This game was won in that first half, because if you don't put up those points the second half of a Super Bowl, like, anything's on the table. It's very similar. Take what I had with Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles, because yeah, that defense was unbelievable, but without the playmaking specifically in that first half to put up those points, the game stays in the balance. The 49ers got a lollipop interception against Patrick Mahomes. They couldn't score. The defense bailed out Mahomes through a terrible interception. I mean, it was just a terrible interception, but they couldn't score, and now the game just still gets hung in. The balance. We know that. We've seen this. We've watched enough football, man, just this season alone. So even something like just kicking those field goals, just getting a few big runs, a 10-yard run there or whatever, or just a little throw there, a little catch there. Like, it seems small, but it's actually massive. It's the difference between winning and losing. It's the difference between winning and losing. It's just that, it's that simple. It's that straightforward. I mean, because think about this. I took the screenshots because I knew the score. I'm so happy I did this, because I knew the score was going to get crazy. Or I knew, like, the box score was going to get messy. This was, 13 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Okay. And it was 19-0. You still have a whole fourth quarter. Like, this isn't out of the realm of possibility, but it was like, Drake May was 8 for 18, 60 yards, 3.3 yards per attempt, and a 53 passer rating, and they had 16 carries for 57 yards. I mean, at halftime now, okay, this is halftime. Sam Darnold was 9 for 22 for 88 yards. Okay, like, this is, he was not cooking, but he made a couple nice throws. Cooper Kupp, especially the one catch and the throw to A.J. Barner. It was really those two main plays, and obviously Walker having 14 carries for 94 yards. And that's why I think he was ultimately deserving of the MVP, because there's no singular defensive player that I felt like you could give it to. But like, being able to get 94 yards in that first half is the difference. It's the difference between being up 9-0 and honestly having to score 0-0 or 3-0, and then who knows? Honestly, then who knows? No matter how good your defense is, the dam can break eventually. Like, it can just snap. And so, the fact that they were able to run the ball and make a couple pass plays, Ken Kubak was then able to cook in the second half, and then, the rest is history. But when you think about it, the score was 9-0, and Drake May in this offense, he was 6 for 11 for 52 yards and a 60 passer rating, and they had, Stevenson had 7 carries for 23 yards, Henderson had 2 carries for 0 yards, and Drake May had 2 carries for negative 40 yards. Okay. And yet the score was 9-0. Still, obviously, completely in the bounds. Completely in the bounds. And that is now where Sam Darnold deserves a lot of credit for not turning the ball over, for not making any of those mistakes. But, the game was still in the bounds. And that's why, to me, it was every little thing. It was every contributor. A big catch by Kupp, a big catch by Barner, a big throw by Sam, a big run by Walker. The defense, obviously, right? There's no one to even single out in that defense because they were just swarming. You had that opening drive that the tackling wasn't great. And I'm thinking to myself, guys, this is not what you're supposed to do here. And then they settled down and it was just like, okay, I was like, oh, okay, this is the defense that I know. And then the tackling was great, the pressure was great, and Drake May was not making throws. He was, not only did he miss some throws, but then he made bad decisions. Like there was moments for Drake May to open up that game. You know, Collinsworth pointed it out. This was before things really kind of started to break for them, but there were moments and they couldn't do it. And so, you know, I made a video. I left Colin out of it because he was been supportive of Sam all season long, and obviously for years. So I didn't want to put him in it. As well as he did change his mind last minute and pick the Seahawks, but like I made a video where I kind of kept the receipts. A lot of it is just first things first. But I mean, you know, everyone talks about how dominant and how great this team is. And this is what happened with the Philadelphia Eagles when they won the Super Bowl. And this is what I said. This is what I said going into this game, where I said, you know, nobody was really talking about the Eagles who were stacked. They said that they weren't really that good of a team, this, that, and the third. And then they go off and win the Super Bowl. And they said, well, now of course they're stacked. And now in this game, Colin's now talking about how stacked this team is, where he goes, well, you know, everyone has a stacked team, Drew Brees. And he just like goes on and on and on. And it's just like, I heard some other people be like, oh, you know, anyone could have won this Super Bowl. Zach Wilson could have won this Super Bowl. And it's just like, those comments always make me laugh because again, it's exactly what happened with the Eagles. And it was just like anyone could win. And it's like, okay, if anyone could win, go do it, then go do it. Go do it. Go do it. Build a great team. Put your quarterback in that position. Go do it, man. Go do it. I'm waiting. I'm waiting to see it. Go do it. The reality is that the Seattle Seahawks did it. They did it, and people did continue to doubt them every step of the way. I know it because I fought against it. I had to fight against even Cowherd, who was easily the most pro-Seahawks media member, and yet he was like, this team's too young. They're reckless. They're too reckless. And he kept saying, they're too reckless. And I remember he didn't even have them in the top 10 on his herd hierarchy at one point. And I was like, what? I was like, let it be known that I got the Seattle Seahawks in the top 10. And I still laugh. And this is the one take that I keep going back to because it blew my mind. He didn't think that the Seahawks were going to be able to beat the Commanders because they're too reckless and young and they got to fly cross country. And that like broke my brain. It really did, because I was just like, I don't understand. What don't people understand about this team? And that's what Collinsworth said. He said, this is what they've been doing all season long. I just don't know if everyone's been watching, and that is what I had said, and I'm like, thank you. Collinsworth, you get paid millions of dollars to do what you do. And I'm out here saying the same stuff well before you. And this was for me personally. This was such an awesome journey because, you know, I had a similar experience with like, say, like the Philadelphia Eagles last year, but like they have an army of fans, right? And the masses, and yes, they got doubted a ton. And I was going up against it, especially going into the Super Bowl, because everyone kept saying Chiefs, Chiefs, Chiefs. And I was like, what the heck, what the heck, what the heck? And so like, that was a cool experience. The Seattle Seahawks was a slightly different experience because I felt like I had to keep convincing people to just watch the Seahawks, to just even remotely pay attention. People were paying attention to the Eagles because they wanted them to lose. And so they were watching those games because they just want to say, haha, Jalen Hurts isn't good, the Eagles aren't good, etc., etc. The Seahawks they don't attract that energy. They don't attract that energy at all. So, like I, you know, talking to someone in the comment section who I really respect, I was like, dude, the Seahawks are going to be in control of this game. And they were like, well, don't. He was like, don't underestimate the Patriots defense. And I'm like thinking to myself, I'm not. But like, we're talking about defense. It's not even close what the Seahawks have been doing. It's not even close. I said that I thought the Seahawks and the Texans had the best defense in the NFL. And a couple of Broncos fans got mad at me and they were like, man, I the one guy who I really like He's like, I respect you a ton. He's like, but, I got to defend my Broncos. I think they got the best defense. And I'm like, they don't, and again, find someone more pro Broncos than me, you're not going to find them. But it's just like Seahawks and the Texans. Seahawks and the Texans had the best defense, and it was on full display in this Super Bowl. And everybody was on the same page in how they were going to attack and win this game. And coaching staff deserves all the credit in the world. GM ownership deserves all the credit in the world. The players deserve, this was the ultimate team effort. This was in the ultimate organizational win, which to me was very similar to what the Eagles did last year. This is what I had said in my post-game video, where it was like in 2024, as soon as the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, 23 going into 24, as soon as the confetti was falling and now the official offseason started, the Eagles absolutely dominated and owned every single step of the full calendar year, the offseason, free agency, draft, et cetera, and then into the regular season, into the postseason. They dominated every single aspect. And that is exactly what the Seattle Seahawks did. The moment the confetti was dropping and Jalen Hurts has the trophy and everyone's celebrating, the Seahawks dominated every single day. They were perfect every single day. The full calendar year, February to February. We just saw back-to-back years where the organizations as a whole just absolutely dominated every step. And they both did things that people were like, huh? Like Lawrence Cup, etc. Sam, they're like, what? Why? Clint Kubiak. People weren't prey again. This is what the parallels are pretty breathtaking. Not a quarterback that they don't really trust. Well, can he step up in the big games? What they said about Jalen, what they said about Sam, Saquon Barkley, I don't know. Can he really be a difference maker? Can Clint Kubiak, is he really a good coordinator? Look what the Saints did with him. Kellen Moore, I don't know. It's like, oh, and both times Nick picked them to be both last in the division, and then both times they won the Super Bowl. So that's how you go about it, man. Find the team that Nick says will be last in the division. Boom. He did it with the Broncos too. Let's be fair. Let's be clear here. The Broncos, they should have been in the Super Bowl. My two babies should. We should have seen Broncos, Seahawks. But I think the Seahawks would have won that game. The Seahawks were the best team in the NFL. People keep saying, oh, the NFC Championship game was the true Super Bowl. Those are the two best teams. Maybe that's true. Maybe that's not the... Seahawks were the best team in the NFL. I said that in my post-game clip, and someone said the Rams were the best team. And it's like, really, where are they? It's like the people that say that the last year the Baltimore Ravens were better than the Philadelphia Eagles. It's like, really, or Mark Andrews catch that ball, we would have won the Super Bowl. It's like, sure, whatever you say. The Seattle Seahawks were the best team in the NFL. They were the best team in the NFL. Guys, the Seattle Seahawks were the best team in the NFL. It's okay to admit that. It's okay to acknowledge that. It's okay to accept that. It's the reality of the situation. The Seattle Seahawks were the best team in the NFL. They were perfect. They were perfect. They were incredibly resilient. They executed at the highest level. How many times throughout the course of the season could we really point and say that the coaching made him like, what were you thinking? There was a couple times Glenn Kubiak, and it was the trick plays that it's like, what are you doing? Stop asking Cooper Kupp to throw the ball. Stop asking a rookie like backup quarterback to do some things right now, right? Like just, they stopped doing that and everything was fine. Everything was good. Everything was golden. When they stopped trying to do weird stuff like that, they're like, it's like Clint Kubiak stopped trying to be Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson outcoached himself and lost against the Rams. Should have won. Quite frankly, should have lost to the Packers. Seahawks didn't make that mistake when it mattered most. Won the Super Bowl. Mike McDonald, masterclass defensively, masterclass. Just beautiful. This team was perfect and beautiful start to finish. February to February. Make no mistake, it wasn't just about September, October, November, December. It wasn't just about the NFC Championship game. This was 1 February to February. The moment the confetti was falling for the Philadelphia Eagles, the Seahawks said, okay, now it's our turn. That's the me. That's when the movie started, the the beginning as the credits were going, you're seeing Jalen Hurd celebrate and the confetti falling, and then you see in the background what the Seahawks were starting to do. And the narration comes over, and it's like, as we saw the Eagles celebrate their Super Bowl, we knew what we had to do. As we saw the confetti fall from the sky, we knew that our time was coming, and that's when the Seahawks story took over. Now, will they continue? Will they make it a two-parter, or is there another team in the trenches right now? But we'll go back and say, oh, wow, that team took over the moment Sam Darnold was, taking a shower in confetti, but right now it belongs to the Seattle Seahawks. And it's been awesome to watch. It's been amazing. Those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Seattle Seahawks, how dominant they were? Just everything, man. Just honestly, just everything. Let me know your thoughts. I read every single comment. So, whether you agree with me or disagree with me either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get into some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much.